So actually, I guess truly your best option when your flight is canceled is just get your own plane. I've chartered a lot of planes in the world, but never actually a jet, and never in the United States. So I'm not an expert here, but essentially what you're looking at normally is about 6 to 8K per hour. But you might want to double that. Most of them will make you pay for the return trip of that jet. There's ways around that, but what's great is they're available at very short notice. They're available 24/7, and most programs will let you choose your plane. So if you don't need to fly 20 of your friends, you don't need a BBJ, you can get something smaller that'll have better fuel capacity, etc. And what's really interesting about jets is like some of them, the range will be like almost double if you're like the only person on the plane. Like the weight of people really makes a difference. So there's different levels of services. If you're not going to buy your own, NetJets offers fractional ownership. It's just under $500,000. You own 1/16 of a plane. They service it for you. They fly it for you, etc. Marquee is NetJets, but it's by the hour. I think it's $100,000 for a card that grants you 25 hours of service. Then I've never heard of these guys, but they also give you a card that's by the hour, but they've got like 10 different operators that you choose from. And then One Sky is essentially a broker that acts on your behalf, and it's actually thousands of operators they work with. And anybody who buys Warren Buffett's argument that he's just like a really down-to-earth guy, and he owns Airstream and he owns Fruit of the Loom, don't buy it, because Berkshire Hathaway created NetJets. All right, so like, yeah, he's in everything. This is really cool. Richard Branson thought, there's too many private jets flying around empty, because they'll drop somebody off like in the Bahamas for a week, but they'll fly back during that week, and they're flying around empty. So you can go to Virgin Charter. It's like eBay, but for these deadheading legs of empty planes. And you can get a private jet for like a 2,000-mile flight, sometimes as low as $2,000 or $3,000, which is sometimes cheaper than a first-class seat. You just have to be flexible. So check out Virgin Charter. If you're going to Europe, don't take a private jet. It's just really, really expensive. The paperwork is just incredibly bad. It's a huge amount of work. What's really cool is Lufthansa will get you a first-class seat on one of their planes, so you don't have to pay for the fuel of getting a private jet across the Atlantic. And then when you land in Frankfurt or Munich, there will be a NetJet sitting next to the plane. You get off, the 747 Classic or something. And this is actually a NetJet here, because they operate in Europe, and then they'll take you on to more than 1,000 different runways across Europe. Also really cool about Lufthansa, look for this like next year. They're the largest operator of the Airbus A340, which has a lot of dead space in its ceiling. They're thinking about putting beds up there, which should be pretty cool. All right, VLJs. That's a Honda that you're looking at. You can't buy one yet, but they're going to be around in a couple of years. Essentially, you have this idea coming into play now of an air taxi service, which is a sub $2 million plane that's still 400 or 500 miles an hour. Not big and comfortable. You don't want to walk around in it, but it'll get you to where you're going. The cost of flying by corporate jet should get a lot cheaper in the next 5 years for short flights. Also, it doesn't have to be a jet. If you get a prop plane, there's some very significant advantages. Some of them are as cheap as $300 an hour. They're a lot slower, but you've got access to a lot shorter runways, because they're very small planes. They can land in 2,000 feet. So if you're going somewhere that doesn't have that big of an airport, your only option might be a prop plane. So I always think of them as they're slower in the air, but they're faster on the ground, because they can get you much closer to where you're going.